So today's sixth graders, we are looking at finding the volume of a rectangular prism. There's a formula for volume. Rectangular prism is essentially something like this. We were looking at some of these during surface area. And as always, Mr. Swack enjoys being able to show off his art skills. After so many years of doing this, though, this has gotten that's not too bad. So that's not spectacular, but you can envision that as a box. And let's just say, for example, this is 8 meters. This is 7 meters. This is 5 meters. To find the volume of a rectangular prism, now the volume is what will fit inside. To find the volume of a rectangular prism, the formula is volume equals length times width times height. So to find the volume, it's how long it is, which in this case, it's 8 meters, multiplied by its width, which is how wide it is, which in this case is 7 meters, multiplied by the height, which in this case is 5 meters. So to find the volume, I would be doing, for this particular problem, 8 times 7 times 5. Now, whenever you're multiplying a series of numbers, it's just like adding, in the sense that it doesn't matter what order I put these numbers in, doesn't matter what order I multiply them in. If I do it correctly, it's still going to equal the same thing. Like here I have 8 times 7 times 5. If I wanted to do 5 times 7 times 8, or 5 times 8 times 7, or 7 times 5 times 8, or whatever order I wanted to put those numbers in, it doesn't matter what order. As long as I do the multiplication correctly, I'm going to get the same answer. So my recommendation is always to look for two numbers that are easy to put together. In this case, it would be 8 times 5. 8 times 5, I'm going to get 40. And then I'm going to think 40 times 7. So 40 times 7. And here I just used the zeros trick. I'm going to do 4 times 7, which I know is 28. And I'm going to add the 0. That's going to give me 280. Now, volume is always labeled in cubic meters, meaning since this is all meters, I want you to imagine a Rubik's Cube. A Rubik's Cube that was 1 meter long, 1 meter wide, and 1 meter tall. A perfect cube, okay? If I had 280 cubes of that size, that was 1 meter long, 1 meter wide, 1 meter tall, I could fit 280 of those inside a box that has those dimensions. And I label it as 280 cubic meters with a 3. You know how we do area, and there's a square there. We talk about the squares that can fit in like the carpet. Volume is cubes, and so it's cubic meters. So part of your assignment today, you're just going to be given some rectangular prisms, and you're going to be given the 3 dimensions. And it's your job to use this formula, volume equals length times width times height, to find the volume. Now, the second part of what you're going to be doing today, let me get a different board here, is sometimes they're going to give you the volume already. Okay? For example, they might say, well, the volume is 1,620 cubic miles. Okay, so it's a pretty big area. All right, and so they give you this dimension here. All right, and we're going to kind of have a little thing here, and then we're going to go here, and we're going to draw our figure. Not great, but then we're going to come down, we're going to go over, we're going to go over. And so there's our dimension. And it's going to say here, this is 9 miles. This also is 9 miles. And that's the height. All right, now, the process we're going to go through now is the exact same as if any of the dimensions were missing. If we were missing the width, we would do the exact same thing that we're going to do now. If we were missing the length, we would do the exact same thing that we were doing now. So I'm not going to just do a bunch of examples where one we're missing the length, one we're missing the width, because this is the process that we would go through. All right? So if I know the volume, and I know two of the other dimensions, and in this case, I know the length, that's 9 miles, and I know the width, that's also 9 miles. I'm trying to find the height. So let's think about what I'm going to do. Well, the first thing I'm going to do, I know that the formula for volume is volume equals length times width times height. We learned that in our previous example. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the two numbers I know. And it wouldn't matter which of these two dimensions I knew. Whatever two I know, because in some of the problems on your assignment, it's the width you're going to need to find out, or it's the length you're going to need to find out. So the process is not going to change. Whatever two you know, you multiply those two together. And so in this case, that's 9 times 9. I know that 9 times 9 is 81. Okay? So basically, since my length times width is 81, I essentially end up with 1,620, which is my volume, equals 81, which is my 9 times 9, times my height. And this is the process we would go through. If we were missing the width, we would make that a W. If we were missing the length, we'd make that an L or whatever variable we wanted to use. Now I'm back to an equation, which is why we did equations long before this. I know here to get H by itself, I got to divide this by 81, which means I'm dividing this by 81. So I'm coming over here, and I'm doing 81 going into 1,620. And you're going to be amazed, 6th grade, that the numbers just seem to work. Sometimes it's going to be a variable, but you're going to be amazed how it works. If I want to, remember, I can round that to 80, and I make it 8, okay? And I think, well, how many times can 8 go into 16? Well, that's twice. So I'm going to think 81 times 2. If I come over here and do 81 times 2, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 8 is 16. Amazing how that works. 162, 162. 81 can go into 162 twice. 2 times 81 is 162. 162 minus 162 is 0. But I can bring down that 0, which means I need to start over. 81 can go into 0 times. I find that my height equals 20 miles. And every problem you're doing is just like those two examples that we just did. I will be available through the Zoom session on Thursday, April 16, to help anybody on this assignment, Big Ideas, page 316. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you later.